It's that me espresso. Se que si like Nintendo. I can't relate to desperation. I give up upon vacation. And I got this problem. I can't keep the phone right. I just proved to you what I meant with that, right? Okay. So there was a sentence that captured my attention while I was doing the survival job. It sounded like, for a species that only have 5 senses, we could be pretty condescending sometimes. If you really think about it. And I guess that sprung out of the social engagements that I had this weekend, where one of the people I was with and discussing, well, maybe I'm not actively participating, but I guess the listener is still a part of the discussion, right? Even though you get the concept. And they were discussing things about how their school system on their part of the world works. And we are 5, like I said in the first video. I'm not even highly educated. I have the least education compared to these people, because 3 of them, they got their education here in Finland, and the one who sort of hatched an egg inside my brain, I'm not sure if her education is ongoing, but she is also studying something here in Finland. She got her education in California. I'm not gonna mention the school because it's not very relevant. Just excuse me for a bit. But I've heard of this school before, so I guess it's quite a known school in that side of the world. And she studied cognitive sciences. Or is that her major? Something that's related to that. I hope I'm wording it properly. And one of the things that she shared about how the people in the institution are dealing with things is that everything is so compartmentalized. Like everything, for example, she has this one subject, and it's mostly revolving in the science-based aspect of things. And the professors would say every time they have a question, the professors would address it as, well, that question, we don't deal with like, it's not proven by science. Or I'm not even sure if it's a question by a student or if it's just another perspective, but the response from the one who has the authority will be, well, that's not entertained because it's not proven by science. And I'm like, now I understand why a lot of people are so close-minded. Because it's basically manufactured in the school, the closed-mindedness of people. And isn't it so that science itself progresses through questions that are not questions or perspectives that are not yet proven by science? Because if you think about it, if we don't entertain questions or perspectives or things that are not yet proven by science, and you don't ask them to the science people, science would be dead, right? That's just how I think about it. Because science itself, it grew because it continues to explore things that we don't know yet. And they experiment. Sometimes they experiment on people. And then we know. It's so strange to hear really that kind of approach when it comes to teaching things. It's like, imagine how progressive we could be if someone, for example, someone who has the authority, someone who has multiple PhDs, and they are teaching in a university, for example, imagine how progressive it would be if someone told them or asked them something that's beyond their knowledge, or that they didn't really, that their study don't focus on. Imagine if they just said, well, I'm not the right person to answer your question. This is not my field of study. This is not the perspective of the truth that I'm knowledgeable of, but I can help you with someone that have a better understanding or knowledge of this. Instead of just shutting the question. Imagine the unity of and imagine how we can grow the open-minded individuals that have this flexibility in their heads to entertain multiple perspectives. Because the authority themselves admits that they are not knowledgeable enough. I think that starts there, when someone who's in the authority admits that they don't know enough about or this is not their field of study. Because to be honest, when I heard her story, I was like, well, no wonder people can't get angry when someone else's perspective, not everyone of course, like some of the problems of the world, this is where it's coming from. Like teaching the younger people in this manner, that just because something is not science based, it's like not valid. Does that work? Of course you can tell me I'm wrong when it's so strange. It's so strange to me. Because I feel like it doesn't really For me, the point of these things, of being educated or knowing or learning or being curious or being an expert or something, I guess it's not for me. If I were to be an expert in something, I guess my main goal won't be that I am right all the time. Like for me at least, it's not about being right. It's about how I can work together with the people who studied something that's so outside of the perspective that I dug deep in, and finding out the answers. Because I have this perspective, I studied it well, I made experiments. For example, I'm a scientist. Oh, I have this perspective, I studied it well, I did experiments, this is my life's work. And hey, you, someone else who studied something that's the opposite of what I have studied, we can compare the notes. And maybe from blending all this, we can get closer to the answer that we're looking for. For me at least, that's the point of being an expert on something. I don't care if I am, maybe I care on some degree if I'm right. It would be nice, it would be like tap tap tap. But it's like, I won't sacrifice being alive intellectually just because I want to be right. Because if I'm right all the time, I think I'll eventually be nauseated. Because I know deep inside that there's so, being human itself, I'm limited to 5 senses. And if I'm so fixated that I am right, then I feel like I'm just in a plastic bag. Eventually I will die there. What do you think? Like, how does the education system work in your and also another thing, now that I remember about it, sorry, I had to check the time. Now that I remember about it, another person from that continent, this person is, I met her somewhere that I forgot where, and she is in here for religious, she was in here for religious reasons. And she, one of the things that she said that I will never forget is that she likes kids when they are still small, but then when they start to ask questions, she's just like, stop, you do the thing because I said so. Okay, that's scary. Imagine I'm the kid and I ask questions because I'm a kid. I don't know about the world. I don't know how what people talk about. I ask questions, and then why I do this, why I do that, why I jump off the bridge, why, and then someone will just tell me, the adult that I trust, because she knows way more than me, will just tell me, you do the thing because I said so. That's murder. That's murder right there. I feel like intellectual murder. Even I think emotional murder. The physical might be alive, but you did something to that kid that maybe it will take years to resurrect. Yeah, and I guess the way that I'm gonna end this is another valuable sentence that someone gave me as a present. I see it as a present because it's a very valuable present from this person, because this person is another person who has a greater education than me. And he said that if you really think about it, logic is also just a perspective. So my dear soil sibling, the gift he gave to me, I'll also give to you. Logic is also a perspective.